Now, Snazzy, you want to know if a drainage line is safe for humans to drink from? Yes, Snazzy. In this area with so many animals and with the water not flowing, I definitely would purify this water somehow. I'd try and filter it as much as what I could, and then I would boil it before I drank it. But that's of course with the luxury of being able to boil and filter stuff. I think if you were really thirsty and you didn't have any matches, or it was raining, or you had no way or no knowledge of making a filter, I think that there's enough water here that you'd be able to drink. And even if it gave you a bit of a runny tummy, it's not the last water that's here. And so I think you'd actually get away with it, to be honest. There's some water over there in front of us, and you can see what quality the water is. It's not bubbling, it's not black, it doesn't have a scum on top of it. And apart from tasting probably like everything in the Mara has urinated in it, I don't think it would be too bad, to be quite honest. There's even some bubbles from something. Now vehicle, no, he's not going to pass us just yet. These lions in this particular place are generating a lot of interest, and we're being passed by one or two cars, and that's all normal out here. Everybody helps everyone here to have a fantastic safari, but of course that does mean that from time to time there's a few cars that come past. Now we've got the male lion with his head up, which I'll show you. Second, there we go. The male lion has got his head up, and let's see if the female lion sticks her head up as well. Big yawn. With the evening now coming up fast, male lions and female lions would start to react by yawning and rolling around, and what that does is it oxygenates the blood. There we go. It looks like we're going to get ready for another mating. There we go. We got it. A female being covered by the male, big scarred male with a beautiful view. There we go. And then he just tries and consoles her a little bit. She doesn't look impressed whatsoever. Now, for every cub that reaches a year old, males and females will mate up to 1,000 times. And that is just testimony. This has been going on for a few days. She's lost that aggression that she normally has, and that's just because she's fully submitted to this male, and she's basically committed herself to the fact that this male will father her next litter of cubs. He's proven himself to be the strongest male in this area. Females can go and do a thing called pre-estrus. For up to 100 days they can put off ovulating to give male lions the chance to compete with one another in an area or basically to show her, to prove their worth to her. In this particular case, at the end of this cycle, it has been unnecessary. He looks like a beautiful boy. Big scarred face, which shows he's the victor of many a fight. And the fact that he looked so healthy when he stood up there. Now, Shelley, you've asked an interesting question. How does a male lion know that a female is ovulating? Is it like scent marking? Shelley, basically, lions and a lot of animals out here have got such a sensitive sense of smell and taste that just by testing urine, like your doc or like a doctor would do when you go to the doctor and they ask you to do a urine sample, we have to use expensive machines and a lot of science to get answers. Lions and other animals can taste or smell when females are ovulating. And that is because a female's body will change, the hormones will change, and the hormonal changes will affect chemical changes in the body, and that will leave trace elements of this change in the urine. And so male lions will quite often walk behind females as they are busy urinating, and will pass the urine over a very sensitive gland in the roof of their mouth, and that will then tell them whether or not this female is ovulating. Also, females that are ovulating will actively search out males and will flirt with them, and that sometimes triggers it as well. just incredible to think that all these animals out here have got things in their bodies that are like machines that we use. Mimi, you've asked an interesting question. Is it possible for a litter of lions to be fathered by more than one male? Absolutely feasible, Mimi. Yes, and the reason for that is that it takes about a week for a female to release all the eggs from her ovaries. About 1 week, 4 days to about 8 days, and she will release anywhere from 2 to 6 eggs into her fallopian tubes, which would need to be fertilized. The hope is by the time her body needs to release those eggs, that the male that is in attendance with her is a male that will stick around for those 4 to 6 days. But to be honest with you, it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes male lions will... There's an elephant inside here that's busy rumbling around. I don't know what's going on. Go a bit closer. Can you all hear that? That's an elephant. And that thing that came flying out of there was a nest of a weaver bird. Let's go forward a little bit and see if we can do that. So Mimi, sometimes what will happen is a male lion will get ousted from his position. It's not common. I've never seen it myself personally, but it is possible. And then the female will have to basically finish her cycle with a male that's in attendance. And that would lead to different fathers for her cubs. Wow, we've got a good view of this elephant. You know, it's very, very uncommon to be on top of elephants like we are at the moment. And it's quite a special view to be able to look down on top of an elephant, I must be honest. You can hear the water. So they've reached the water now. Now she's going to be stuck because that tree is now over her way. Let's see what she does. It's going to be quite interesting to see what this female does, I think. Is she going to climb over the tree? Or is she going to try and climb up this bank? I think if she looks stuck, we might have to just create some space, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create some space backwards because I think that this female is going to battle to get over the stump. They're good climbers, but to be honest with you, they're not mountain goats. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. There you go. It's going to be interesting to see what she does. Does she climb over the tree, or does she reverse, or does she climb up the bank? I've never seen this before, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, she's going to climb over the branch. That's amazing. You can see her just battling a little bit. Let's see what she does with it. You can see her hip articulate as she's dragging her leg over the top of that branch. She's probably got it stuck now, just in front of her back legs, on her belly. Can't see the baby anymore. There she goes on the other side. Oh, just battling to get over the top of that stump. Well, she made that look very, very easy. Just testimony to the fact that these elephant, they can get almost anywhere. All right, now that we've seen this elephant do its acrobatics, we'll stick around and see if anything else... oh, there we go. Hold on, we're not going back to Tristan just yet. You're sticking with me so that we can see what else this elephant gets up to, which is no problem at all. I'm sure Tristan would be enjoying the fact that he's trying... There we go, you can see her just trying to climb over there. You can see that leg. Mr. P, you want to know if elephants can get stuck here to death? Elephants do get stuck, and they can absolutely die in mud. They can get stuck in these defiles. I don't think that this elephant's in any danger of getting stuck whatsoever. I think that that she's totally in control. I think there's a bit of a chance that baby falls into the mud perhaps, or has to swim a little bit depending on how deep the water gets here, but I don't think that there's any danger whatsoever at the moment. Now the baby's climbing over the stumps. And look at this little baby, he's also battling. Come on, little guy. Oh, you can see almost upside down getting over that stump. That's actually very funny. Oopsie daisy. Come on, you can do it. You can see almost upside down climbing up over that stump. And did it. Not with quite as much grace as Mom, but with no harm done whatsoever. Beautiful sighting. Alright, why don't we send you 3,500 miles south, I love saying that, to Tristan, so that he can tell you about what the tracks of those cheetah are doing.
Well, we're still trying our best. The tracks go up and down all over the fire break. I can't find any sign of them going north, so I've come to a little clearing just on the eastern side of Buffelshoek Dam in case they came this way, but I don't see any further tracks here. So part of me reckons that they've gone north, but I just can't see a track where they crossed. It's baffling as to where they went. They almost look as though they've grown wings and flown. The problem is their tracks are in amongst the whole Nkahuma Pride's tracks from 2 days ago, so it's quite difficult. There's an elephant though. You see an elephant way in the distance there. So their tracks are all mixed up with that, and it's quite difficult to make them out in amongst all those other paw prints. There you can see how Ellie's way in the distance inside Buffelshoek, so that's as far as they go, and this is why it's a nice place just to stop, also to scan. Maybe we could have seen these cheetah somewhere in this general vicinity, but alas, I don't see anything. Interesting though, there's just one female elephant and a calf. I can't see any others. Can you see any others, Seb? I don't see any others. It looks like just these two. Maybe they're the back end of the herd. Oh, these cheetah, I can feel that they're close. I just don't know where exactly. The problem is we've got very limited space to work with at the moment. We're right up in this northeastern corner, and it's difficult because if they've gone slightly to the east, there's no chance of us being able to find them. The other problem is of course, if they're lying flat in some of this long grass, it's going to be very difficult to even see those cheetah. So I was hoping that they would pop their heads up while we were driving around, or stand up, and that would give us at least an indication of where they are. You can see how the female is just peacefully feeding while the calf drinks. David, you're wondering if they could be looking for water in the heat. Well, I think so. The problem is that there is a water hole straight north of us here inside Buffelshoek, so they might have gone that way for water. I was just off chance that they might head towards Buffelshoek Dam. They definitely came onto the fire break. There's no doubt about it that one came down the fire break. It looks like maybe one or two eventually, another one kind of joins up, and then they turn and they go a little bit back east, and then from there I lost their tracks. I can't see if they go north or south from there back into the block. But given that their general direction was north, I would have imagined they went north over the fire break. But I can't find anything crossing over into Buffelshoek. The problem with Buffelshoek boundary is it's very busy, and today would have been a busy day on that road because a lot of the landowners were here for the weekend and they went home during the day, so it's very possible that they've driven over all the tracks. But let's just carry on with this road towards Buffelshoek Dam. You never know, it's this time of the day that cheetah will be going towards water. Maybe they're at the dam now. It's possible we'll do another few loops around here just in case and hope for the best. And maybe with a little bit of luck, something will happen. The reason why I'm putting effort into this is just because we really so seldom see cheetah, and it would be great to see a cheetah in this area, and also just start getting it kind of used to our vehicle. Our vehicle's a very different shape to all the other vehicles, and so sometimes when some of the cats haven't seen it, they're a little bit kind of wary of it, particularly this cameraman that moves on the back, and the fact that I don't have a door, they can see my legs moving, so sometimes get a little bit wary of it. So it would be nice just to kind of find those cheetah and spend a bit of time with them. Also, if they're exploring this area, then hopefully they'll come back here again at some point. There are lots and lots of impalas though on the fire break between where the tracks are and the dam, so Chaska, you're wondering if all the vehicles could be altering the cheetah's behavior. I suppose somewhat, if the cheetahs are very unrelaxed, this female and her cubs, they could potentially change direction with the vehicles being around, but I don't think so. I mean, we heard this morning that the tracks were coming west towards Cheetah Cut Line. We drove there was no sign of those cheetah, and then as we came this afternoon, their tracks are out there, so they might have just rested up in the morning and then decided to carry on walking and have popped out later on that boundary, so their direction hasn't really changed the whole morning. They're kind of heading in the same way they were from last night, so I don't think we changed their behavior too much. The female, like I say, is a little bit skittish of that, so she's a little bit more kind of wary, and that might mean that she moves in a different direction. See the scrub hare there, Seb? So we have a little scrub hare that's out a little early, maybe for a Sunday afternoon stroll. Just see it with the little orange ears is what actually gave it away. The sun's coming through the ears, and you can see they're almost translucent. And that big eye with the big eye that they can actually see at night. So during the day, that eye is not designed to be getting so much light. It's bigger like that so that it can get more light in at night and see a little bit better. So this guy is out a little on the early front. That's okay. There's not too many predators around that we've seen. Maybe we will find a cheetah bursting out towards the scrub hares. We know that they hunt them quite a bit by the looks of things in the Mara, so I would be surprised if our cheetah here didn't do the same. But nice to see. It's not something we get to see every day out in the open in some nice sunlight. It's normally a nocturnal species for us, so good to see. And you can see how well it would camouflage. If it just took 2 steps to the right, we'd really battle to be able to see it. You need to be careful, little scrub here. There's still birds of prey around. Cherie, you say to be a guide you really need good eyesight. Well, I suppose yes, you do. It's one of those things where also your eyes will get better as time goes on. So the more time you spend out here, it's funny, your eyes start to adjust and you actually start to notice things. And advice that I give people that come out on safari when I was guiding was not to look for animals in terms of actually spotting an animal. So a lot of the time people will be like, try and look for a lion or try and look for a leopard. 99% of the time that we see things, it's actually because we've noticed a slight difference in the bush. So, oh, there's 2 of them. Oh, did I ruin a romantic sunset? I'm so sorry, you two. Well, I'll leave you in peace then. They've just run off into the distance there and under this leadwood, but they seem as though there was a male and a female having a little moment watching the sun go down. Now I feel awful that I've ruined his date. Oh well. Sorry, buddy. So, as I was saying, when you're looking for things, try and notice slight differences in colors, difference in patterns. That's the kind of thing that you use to spot stuff. That's normally how you pick things up, or movement. So, a lot of the time, leopards actually give themselves away when they flick an ear or the tail lifts up slightly and drops down again. And those are the things that the really good trackers, when they're spotting things from the vehicles, will pick up. It's not so much actually seeing an animal as opposed to just seeing a slight difference and being like, hang on a second, that doesn't look like it belongs there. Let's have another look, and then you notice, okay, there is whatever you were looking for. So it's those kind of things that you need to do, and the really sort of talented guys do it. And as you spend more time out here, so you get to notice what shades work and sort of structures and things like that that are naturally occurring, and then stuff that is slightly out of place, and you're able to then spot it. Oh, there's an elephant at the waterhole. Nice. Looks like just one elephant at Buffelshoek Dam, so that's good news. Don't go away from the dam now. Oh, looks like a young male that's busy moving away slightly. Are you complaining at me? Sounds like it. So this is a young male that was part of that herd that we saw this morning. It must be off the back, and maybe that female we saw suckling with that other one way in the distance was the head of this herd, and they just spread out all along the firebreak area, and I can see a couple more on the northern side there. Ah, they're actually coming. It looks like they're coming down to the water, Seb. That's good news. There's a whole bunch of them. Excellent. A few ellies at Buffelshoek Dam is exactly what we wanted earlier. So it seems as though we've got what we were asking for. Although I think they've already had their drink and they're just finishing up now. But that's okay. We'll still join them for a little bit. So that's... Ooh, let's just go forward slightly. Sorry, Seb. See, there's one that's having a bit of a mud wallow over there. There we go. More on the left as well. So it is our herd from this morning that is all just spread across, and it looks like some of them are still making their way to the water. Others have already drank, and we know it's quite a big herd, so I would imagine that we're going to see a few more arriving just now. And that one's busy playing with a stick. A young male. What are you doing? Definitely sounds like more of them coming, which is fantastic news. Christine, you're wondering if the tusks continue to grow throughout their lifetime. Yes, they do, but don't forget they also get worn down throughout their lifetime. So as they go, so those tusks are getting worn and blunter as they're being used. So even though they do continue to grow, there is some wear and tear that happens that will limit that amount of growth. It also is genetics as well. Some elephants will have tusks that grow quicker than others and thicker than others. It's not always that every elephant is going to get big long tusks, so there's a bit of genetics involved with it, but they do grow out throughout their life. What are you doing? So I believe when they rock their foot like that, it's a little bit of indecision, as they're not 100% sure which way they want to go, so they wait until they've got some backup, or just throwing sticks on top of their head apparently is also what you do when you have your foot up, and it's resting a little bit. But when they rock like that, it's just a bit indecisive as to what they do. You can see he's had a dust bath today as well, got nice white dust all over his head. Hello, young boy. Here comes another one. And there's still quite a few to our left hand side, so I would imagine they're all slowly but surely coming down for a drink. But it is a beautiful scene. It's calm, it's quiet. Are you going to come say hello? Oh, here they are. They're closing in now. We're in trouble, Seb. Look at these two cheeky elephants. Alicia, you say party at the waterhole? Well, it looks like it, although it looks like we're being ganged up upon by these two. You see how the posture is with both of them. Ears out, head slightly raised. So they're now coming towards us just to come and see what we are and who we are. Typical of a young male. He wants to know what's going on. He's looking Harry casual with his foot over the top of the other one. And the one on the left, the slightly older one. What do you want? Don't come and give us trouble. We've done nothing to you. Behave yourself. So look at the posture. You see how she's trying to make herself bigger? He's trying to make himself bigger and is trying to threaten us, but because we're standing our ground and he's young, not 100% sure about this whole thing, and that's why now moving off a little bit. He's going to go back towards the herd. If it was a big old male and it was showing that posture, there's a very different story. These youngsters, you've got to teach them a little bit. You've got to show them that you are not scared of them and that you don't worry about them, and you sit and wait and just sit it out, and eventually that's what happens, is they learn not to come near you and they go off and back down to the water. But you can see they've dug a massive hole where that male is there. He's thrown mud all over himself, but there's a nice deep hole at the base of the feet that he's busy pulling mud out of, and they've dug that by the looks of it with their feet for water to seep through, so there'll be nice clean water in there. And then once they've drank, they then start to throw mud and get it all muddy and collapse soil in there, and then that's what he's thrown all over his body. You can see, look how dark he is in coloration, and there's bits of mud sticking to him all over the place. Sleep? You saying you wonder if the Ellies know how much they are loved by us? I don't know. I suppose not really. They don't really know that, because generally they're absolutely petrified of humans on foot and see us as a predator because of all the years of persecution that they've had. So in vehicles they know that we're not really a threat, but they definitely are not seeing us as part of the family. I mean, we are an object that is in the herd sometimes, and they accept it because we don't really do anything. But on foot is a very different situation. On foot they see people and humans as a potential dangerous animal and something that they need to be very wary of. So you won't find them being too friendly to us on foot. Sister, You're wondering if an elephant could ever cause serious damage if you were attacked by them. The answer to that is a resounding yes. In fact, it's not just serious damage, they will cause death. If you are to get manhandled by an elephant, you are not going to generally survive an altercation like that. Elephants, when they get hold of people, is a very ugly situation. Even when they get hold of cars, there are a number of videos on the internet, if you want to go and check it out, about elephants rolling cars and squashing cars and all kinds of other things. So they are extremely dangerous on foot, and something you've got to be very wary of. And you'll find that if they get hold of you, then you're in a lot of trouble. You're not going to come out of it very nicely, and even if you do survive, you're going to have all kinds of big problems. That animal is hugely powerful. It is immensely strong, much stronger than what we are, and our bodies are like a little rag doll to them if they get hold of us, and it's really not a pleasant situation. I know of a couple people that have been killed by elephants, and I can tell you it's not a very pleasant experience. And if you want to know just how unpleasant it is, you can ask one of our presenters, Brent Leo Smith, because he was hit by an elephant in Gabon, a forest elephant, which are much smaller than these savanna elephants, and it certainly did a bit of damage to him. He had a badly dislocated hip, and so he'll be able to tell you just how unpleasant being manhandled by an elephant is. I wonder what he's doing, this elephant. It almost looks like he's wetting the bank to make mud that he can then potentially rub on. What are you... You see, he's sprayed water all along there and he's sniffing along. What are you doing? Are you watering the garden? Very strange. I've never seen an elephant actually do this. It's almost like he's making his own little mudslide. He's not really drinking, as you can see. There's not exactly a huge amount of water being sucked up and put inside the mouth. It's mostly just being thrown onto the bank. Look, there we go. What are you doing? That's super interesting. Now, Trouble, you're asking if he could be trying to eat some of the soil and the minerals. It's possible that he could be doing that. I think, however, what he's actually doing is taking the surface tension off the water and then pushing that onto the soil as getting rid of all of the dust and dirt that's on top of the water, and then he's drinking the nice clean water that's left. So you see, look, he sprays that stuff out, and then once he's sprayed a little bit, then he pushes water into the mouth. So I think he's just getting rid of all the dirty water that he first sucks up and the sediment, and then pushing nice water into his mouth. You say you think he's building a sandcastle. I like that idea. I suppose when young children down at the waterhole and the muddy areas, they're going to make little sandcastles, and that's maybe what he's doing. It would be nice. Imagine if he did build a sandcastle. It would be very clever, wouldn't it? I reckon an elephant sandcastle would look quite good. You can see a number of other elephants starting to arrive now. We're getting lots and lots and lots of them coming through. There's a lot of babies that are going to come through just now as well. This is the first part. The rest are still in the bush, but are slowly but surely heading down in this direction. So they're going to be with us fairly soon. So they obviously came down for a drink during midday, then they went off to feed, and now they're back again. This is the same herd we had this morning, that big herd that we had. It's exactly the same sort of composition of them, and I've recognized a couple of these individuals from earlier. You can see they're actually having a mud wallow now. You can hear him slurping up the mud and spraying it. There we go. Digging out a little bit of that soil. There we go. This will all be to help cool down, as well as to create a protective layer for those biting flies and various parasites. And like I say, cooling down is probably the biggest reason. You see how he sprays behind his ears up onto the chest area, because that's where all the thinnest skin is and where it will cool down the quickest. Deadhead, you say you love elephant personalities. They are the best, aren't they? They've got so much sort of spunk and so much attitude and personality to all of them, and each one's different. Each one has got its own kind of uniqueness, and they really are an incredible animal. When I spend time in Kenya with all those orphans, each one has its own persona and its own way of doing things. They are, some of them, very naughty, others are shy and reclusive, others are playful. It just depends on the individual. It's really amazing how different they actually all are, and how each one is very much like people and completely unique in the way that they go about their day and their business. It is magical sitting here at this time of the day. It's that sunset period. We actually have the beautiful big red disk of sun going down on our left-hand side. It is a wonderful, wonderful scene. So there that is. And then it's quiet. There's ellies all around us. There's a prospect of potentially a cheetah arriving at some point, which would be amazing. So imagine if we had a cheetah arrive on the other bank and start drinking with these elephants. That would be a turn up for the books. So there's lots going on, and it is just so pretty being out here and quiet. Pleasant, isn't it, Seb?
Very.
A lovely way to spend a Sunday afternoon, that's for sure. It's a perfect way to relax on a Sunday. And our sun is slowly but surely going down. I reckon it will be down in the next 2-3 minutes. I think we'll see that it's going to go beyond the horizon as the rest of our herd slowly but surely arrives. Let's just go forward a little bit, because we can maybe watch the rest of them that are feeding and starting to come out as well. I was thinking about going down to where they've got that mud wallow, but then I remembered that elephants throw mud a long way away, so I don't really want to go get covered in mud, so I probably won't head too far that direction. But what we will do is there's a little path here, and we can then just park and we can watch them from on top, as well as all the others that will start coming past us. Come on, Rusty. Over the bump. We're just going to park ourselves over here, just on top of the bank. There we go. So we're going to sit with our elephants. Sorry, Seb, I know it's a bit skew and lopsided, but this is where we're going to at least enjoy watching them as they sort of drink around us and have a little feed. I believe a lot of you are just saying how much you love spending time with these ellies, and we are so fortunate, particularly here in the sands, where we get these intimate up-close encounters, and they all around us, and just how relaxed they are. They are so tolerant of us. Look at this little one trying to get into the hole. Don't fall. Oh, oops. I thought we might see a head plant into the hole. What is it with the young individuals? Hosanna yesterday shoving his head down the hole at the termite mound, and now our little Ellie also. I feel like we're going to get 1 or 2 of the tiny babies arriving, and they might disappear down that hole, which would be quite entertaining to watch, because there will probably be a bit of screaming. You can't fit in there. What are you doing? Well, there goes the mud bath for everybody else. It's too small for you to sit in there. You can't sit. It's not going to stop me trying, is basically what's happening. So, but if you were wondering when exactly myself and Byron were going to join this scene and run into the mud wallow, since we've got our mud wrestling match coming up and we need to get into training, well, Byron's not here, so I don't want to get any unfair advantage over him. If we're training, we're going to have to train, at the same time. I can't get all my techniques down pat and not give him a chance to train, although he is in the Timbavati Game Reserve, so maybe he's found some mud wallows of his own and he's doing some sneaky training in his speedos. I'll have to try and find out from some of the sources that we know there. I wouldn't be surprised if he is. It's good weather, and we know Byron loves a bit of mud wrestling, and Timbavati was where he trained when he was the champion back in the day, and so he's gone back to his roots and back to his training ground, and I'm sure he's busy getting up to no good in the mud that side. So I'll have to, I suppose, put in some hours at some point, and we'll have to see how it goes. But we have to wait for Brenton and James and Scott to come back, because they're also all part of this challenge as well. So until such time as we've got them here, we're going to have to try and hold off a bit of practice, although I suppose they can practice that side as well. Right, well, we're going to sit and enjoy our ellies because, well, why wouldn't you want to? It's just the most magical scene being here with them. And while we do that, our ellies, I think, are still some more coming behind us, but Steph is back up and running and is still with his lions, so let's see if they're going to be mating a little bit more.
Welcome back, and this lioness has left a full uneaten zebra, can you believe it, and has decided to head off in a southerly direction towards the escarpment, which has created a lot of confusion amongst David and myself as to which pride she belongs to. We're on the fringes of 3 prides right now, the Angamas, the Paradise, and the Sausage Tree. And if I were to give a guess, it would probably be the Angamas that this lioness belongs to, although she's heading straight south and she's definitely not nervous about doing so. And that means that it might even be the Sausage Pride. Now, the Sausage Tree Pride is, generally speaking, located along the edge of the escarpment that you're seeing there in the background. And not really here, but this lioness is walking straight there, and she's quite determined. Beautiful afternoon shot there of that lion. Wow. Just listening to the bush around us. Very similar to the mornings. The change from day to night and night to day, this crepuscular hour, is quite astounding in terms of what you can all of a sudden start hearing. A lot more birds making a noise than when we left this afternoon, but that is because things have quietened down a little bit. I don't think there's less birds calling. I just think that the birds that are calling are making the most of this. Wow, fantastic shot there. That feature in the background, the land that we're sitting on now, is slowly subsiding away from that escarpment face, so we're sinking away from that escarpment face, leaving behind a tall cliff. That lioness now walking away from us. She's on a game path. Lions, when possible, will choose to walk on game paths. It's quieter, and they're always going from one place to another, less thorns. In this particular area, the game paths are made up mostly from hippo paths. We're not going to be able to follow this lioness where she's going now. She's moving to a non-off-roading area. This area that we're in at the moment is adjacent to a swamp, and is relatively sensitive from an ecological point of view. We can't just go off-road wherever we want, and that's a good thing. This lioness is moving through this particular area. There's another road probably a mile or 2 away from here, and we'll see if we can go around there in a little bit. But we've got 3 other lions right next to us right now. We've got 2 male lions and a female lion, and a full-grown uneaten zebra. And I think that that's probably where the action is going to be. And I think that that's what we're going to be doing. So we're going to turn around and go back to that zebra carcass now and see what comes up from that, and leave that lioness to go either fetch her sisters or fetch her cubs and come back to this carcass here. And that's what I think she's busy doing. In the meantime, we're going to be sending you an hour. Well, for us it's an hour back in time, but you're going to a different time zone with Tristan, and what is set to be quite an exciting thing.
Well, unfortunately, our Ellie just walked away. She was right next to us. I don't know what's wrong with these Ellies. This morning and this afternoon, every time we try to come back to us and the Ellies are close to us, they move away just as they're linking. So they've gone up into the top. The little one finished its mud wallow and is going there. And we've come down right near the mud wallow because we've got a nice low perspective. And if they are going to carry on, you can see there's the muddy section. And there's a whole bunch more that are slowly but surely coming from behind us. So I would imagine they are going to end up coming to said mud wallow as well, and we'll end up with a little bit of action nice and close. And there are some little babies, so I'm hoping they're going to go into this mud wallow and roll around and have a good old time, much like what we saw with that other youngster that was here just now. But there is a hardy-dar as well that's busy rooting around in the edge of the water. It seems to be almost head deep as it's digging around. I wonder what it's finding in there. It must be finding some sort of food item. You can see it's going quite deep in. It's generally hardy-dars, will root around a little bit shallower than that, but it must be finding some sort of food item there. It must be little insects or little maybe freshwater crabs or some sort of food item that's just right down in the mud, and that's why it's digging its beak deep in there to get what it's looking for. You also get little freshwater snails sometimes that they will go after, so it might be those guys that are just low down in the mud layer. got the right idea. It's such a beautiful evening. A little afternoon swim is perfect. So you've got the big and the small, the hardy-dar and the elephant, and both are completely unperturbed by the other. The hardy-dar has actually gotten away with murder today. Generally, these elephants will chase them all over the show, but this afternoon they haven't really worried about this hardy-dar at all. Corey, wondering if we've seen any offspring from the Magnificent Seven. Corey, we might have. I have no idea. It's very difficult to have any idea as to who the father of these elephant calves is. There's multiple males, and the females get mated with, and because of the gestation period being so long and the number of females, very difficult to know if they come from those Magnificent Seven. In terms of tuskers, though, and emerging tuskers, we have seen 1 or 2 tuskers here. There was one that was around in April, May, that area. I think a little bit into June as well. Really nice. It wasn't a massive tusker, but he did have nice tusks. But when I was at Chitwa, we used to have 2 really, really big tuskers that came through. When I'm talking tuskers, I mean massive, thick, big, long tusks that almost touched the ground. I haven't seen them in a very long time, and so we seldom see them down here. Most of those really big tuskers, and even the Magnificent Seven themselves, were in the northern part of Kruger. They very seldom came down to this southern section. They like to stay in the Mopani Belt area just north of us, and so very seldom do we see them. The closest, biggest tusker that I know of is in the Timbavati Game Reserve. So there was one that was up that side. I don't know if it's still alive. I remember hearing something about it possibly dying, but that was a really big tusker that was around. And then there was one also seen around the Sabi River down towards Lower Sabi, and that individual is also, I think, still around that side. But there is a number of emerging tuskers, and if you're interested in it, you just can go onto the Sand Parks website. So they have a whole thing on emerging tuskers and all the emerging tuskers of the Kruger, and there's even some females that feature in there, some of the bigger tuskered females. So if you are interested in seeing which emerging tuskers are coming out and where the areas that they inhabit, then you can go and see that on that website. Listen to them talking to one another. There's a little bit of grumbling all around us. Seems as though none of them are wanting to come down to the mud wallow anymore. The rest of them are just coming to my northern side into this little drainage section just to feed. But there's something about being in amongst them when they just do those low grumbles, and one will do it a little bit further away and then one closer to you and on your other side, and when it happens all around you, it's like surround sound of an elephant grumble. It's such a cool experience to go through. I remember that time when we were in the Mulawati, when I was with Sept that one time, and we had the most epic afternoon with the elephants, and they were vocalizing heavily, and it was just, especially in the Mulawati, because it echoes through that riverbed. It was just so fantastic. So hopefully we'll get that now that they're coming down into the drainage, that they do a bit more of the same. And that's a very content elephant with his stick. You can see the foot is crossed over, stick in mouth, just rotating it, getting all that cambium, and that's as cool as you can look when feeding upon a stick, apparently. I reckon Byron would be envious of this elephant and his coolness. Now, he's just chomping away, a bit of ear flapping to cool down in the late afternoon warmth. But I believe Steph has made his way towards the zebra carcass, so let's go back to him and see if there's anything that's there and feeding off the said dead zebra carcass.
And isn't that just a majestic sight? We've decided to return to the area with the dead zebra. And the reason for that is I think that there's the greatest chance of seeing something around this carcass. This male lion's been lying off to the one side the whole day. He looks full, but the zebra carcass hasn't been touched, and a male lion won't move from that much fresh meat. Additionally, I think that this male lion's coalition brother is busy mating with a female close by, and quite often you see these sort of unfortunates, the guy who didn't make it quite. lying on the periphery of a mating event. And I think in this particular case, I think he's actually got the how do I say, the lion's share of the meat. I don't know, is that the right word to say that, Dave? Or does it sound bad? And I think that he'd be able to keep tabs on his brother just in case something happens, and still have some food available to him. And I think he's just sort of surveying his domain at the moment. That's what male lions do. They wake up all of a sudden at sunset, have a look around. I think he might, even if we're lucky and you're holding thumbs, give us a roar or two. And then I think he's going to go and have a meal. That female, she walked off south with a purpose, and there's every chance that she comes back here with some either cubs or even her sisters. As I was mentioning a little bit earlier, I think we're on the periphery here between three prides. I think this is just on the southern edge of the Paradise Pride, on the northern edge of the Angamas, and on the southeastern edge of the sausage pods pride. If I were to guess, I would have said that this was the Angama pride female, but the way that that female walked off south of here, I don't know. Difficult to say. And the exciting thing about saying I don't know with regards to lion prides is exactly that. Is that we just don't know. This is a new area. We've only been operating here for a couple of months, and these lion pride dynamics here are very, very complex, and it's because there's so much food spread so widely around that the lions are spread out. And what we think might be two prides could in fact be one giant pride. It might be even smaller fragmented prides. It might even be a combination of the two, in which case prides will form and then disband and form again. We just don't know. Even the lion researchers around here say they don't exactly know what's going on with all these lion prides. And it's going to be very interesting with all of you out there to try and get to the bottom of it over time. He's getting a little bit darker and a little bit of out of the range of our infrared lights. That male lion's lying about 150 yards off from us at the moment, but facing us, and the zebra is a little bit closer, and so I hope when he does decide to get up and move, we'll be able to see him. He is beautiful though. Male lions at about 5 years of age to about 9 years of age reach their maximum size, but as they take over prides, their testosterone levels actually increase when they are pride males or dominant in an area, and that forms the growth of that black mane that you're seeing there. And it has been proven that females are more attracted to males with black manes than they are to males with blonde manes, or even males with no manes. However, in survival terms, females that come into estrus in areas where lion numbers are very low, like Namibia for instance, up in the northern central part of Namibia, it's not uncommon for female lioness to come into estrus without males being anywhere nearby, and then they will basically go for any male that comes calling, and it could even be a son. So incest in lions in small or fragmented populations is not an uncommon thing. And for the survival of the species, females do sometimes subject themselves to the attentions of males that are related, or very young, or not dominant, or nomadic, or any other combination. I don't think that that's going to be the case in this area. The male lions in this area are just fantastic. It's despite all odds, Male lions, in Maasai culture, male lions were hunted by young warriors basically as a rite of passage. Okay, you wanted to know when we tend to hear these big male lions roaring. Okay, that happens around about now. In actual fact, same reason why we hear lots of bird calls and lots in the early evening and in the early morning. Right now, a male lion will call just to re-establish where he went to sleep when the sun went down. And so this male lion is looking around, he's busy listening. I have no doubt that if he's so inclined as to protect his domain, that he will roar anytime soon. I'm looking forward to, in actual fact. And they'll carry on roaring throughout the evening. Sometimes if they get distracted by one thing or another, they could stop, picking it up again in the morning. But a male lion on patrol of his boundary will roar every 3 or 4 minutes and will roar the entire evening. It's no effort for them to do so whatsoever. He's busy looking at the moment at a hippopotamus that has come out of the Mara River and is making its way to feeding grounds adjacent to the river. We're quite close to the river where we are now. I'd say we're probably about 300 yards off. My bald head getting into your shot, please excuse that. Sorry, Debbie, it's just there off to the left a little bit. There we go. David's looking at a lit screen that is... no. Sorry, Dave, over there. There we go. Here's your hippo. David's looking at a very bright screen that is overwhelmed by the evening as it comes on, and sometimes it does make it a little bit more challenging to find these things, but being the artist he is, picked it up very quickly. So hippo come out this time of the evening. They feed for not a long time. By 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, hippos are almost always back in their ponds. Very few hippo with grass so close to the edges of the rivers will actually be out longer than that. In areas like the Olifants River, which lies just north of Djuma, you sometimes find hippopotamus only arriving back at the ponds 10, 11 o'clock in the morning sometimes in the dry season, and that's because they've had to walk up to 20 or 30 miles away from the river to find enough grass to eat. This particular hippo I don't think is going to have any such trouble. So David's just informed us that we're going to be moving over to infrared, so excuse the change that's going to happen now. You're going to see a remarkable change to the picture that you're having a look at now. There we go. And isn't that wonderful? So now what we're doing is the camera's picked up or has changed the filter, which allows it to utilize infrared radiation, and that has created a slightly different picture. Now, don't forget, we don't have any artificial light on this story whatsoever. This is you looking at this picture as it's getting dark here. Let's listen to all the noises. Crickets, francolins. Wonderful. It's lovely. It's also not uncommon for lion to hunt hippo. I would imagine that lions would either hunt a hippo that gets too close to a bunch of them and looks injured or weak in a particular way, or if there are lots of lions and they're hungry, or the hippo is weak or injured, that lions will single it out. But they're not the usual prey item for lions. However, there are some places in this world where lions will hunt anything, even elephant. Let's see, this is a roundabout and I'm feeling the tension build. I think this male lion. Come give us a roll, big guy. Let's hear you lay claim to this area and pick a fight. Male lions are designed to fight. There's always that question, you know. A tiger, which weighs more than a lion, or a lion, which one would win in a fight? And I've always backed lion. Lion are sort of purpose-bred fighting machines. And a big male lion like this has a lot of experience in fights. No, he's not going to roar. He's going back to sleep. How could you do that? Take care. You want to know? Well, I'm sure looking at this male with this big, hairy, black-maned body, you'd like to know why is it that that male lions are more attracted to, or why are female lions more attracted to males with black manes than anything else? Take care. Let me think about my answer here a little bit for you. Personally, I think it's a sign of vitality. Not only do male lions have to be strong enough to prove to that female that they are the strongest male in that particular area. In other words, they're big and they're healthy enough and they're strong enough to fight off other males, so that in this particular area that male would be the strongest. But they also have to prove that from a vitality point of view. And the only way that it's a visual cue, and it's males are healthy, their bodies are healthy, they've got enough excess, I don't know, I suppose metabolic energy that can create this big fluffy mane. The black mane and the mane around a lion's head serves a protection. It's not just a visual cue about vitality, but it also forms a protection around the head of the lion, and that will tell a female that this particular male is protected. In other words, he can withstand some battering and can fend off other male lions. So I think it's basically just a visual cue on how vital these particular cats are. It's not to say that females won't go for bald or for blonde males at all, but definitely I think the increased testosterone that creates the long mane is, apart from everything else, quite attractive to females, because it's just an added bonus in terms of how healthy they are. Alright, now we're going to keep an eye on these males, or this male and his brother up there with his young female, and wait to see what happens to that lioness that walked off south and this zebra carcass off to our right hand side. In the meantime, you're going to be crossing the Mara River to my friend Scott Dyson, who's been sitting with those cheetah the whole afternoon.
Hello everyone, we've just had to get up and moving quite quickly. These cheetah that we are with, there are 5 of them, have just started rushing towards a herd of wildebeest, and you just never know what's going to happen. They were scent marking on a tree initially, and then we've just seen some, and they're all trotting alongside us. How awesome is this? Heading straight towards a herd of wildebeest. You couldn't have joined us at a better time. They've just changed gears without any warning, and they are very steadily approaching what looks to be a couple of hundred wildebeest, all dotted out about 10 seconds ahead of them. Now I'm going to keep moving alongside them like this so that we don't get left in their dust. And this is about to get serious. We're about to start seeing this coalition of 5 cheetahs start working this herd of wildebeest like a pack of wolves. The way they hunt them after dark like this, or at dusk, is something to behold. Now we're using a special low light camera, so it appears a lot brighter than it actually is now. I can only just faintly make the wildebeest out in front of us. Let's stop here. There's some ahead of us here, Manu. Maybe stay on these front ones. Just a little bit left there, in front of that bush. There we go. Now, we're in a bit of a tricky situation. I don't know if we should quickly switch over to infrared, Manu, if you think that is a good idea. Tricky one. We do have an infrared light. There we go. So this is going to be, I think, a lot easier for us to follow the action. Look at how awesome this is. Falling back. Its partners asking for help. Let's stay on the front one, Manu. You can hear the wildebeest snorting. They've noticed these cheetah, but they are not fleeing just yet. And it's only when they start running that the action unfolds. Welcome to everyone who has just jumped on board this live safari. It is wonderful to have you with us. We are following 5 cheetah, and they are surrounded by migrating herds of wildebeest. We are in the Masai Mara in Kenya, and we are about to see some epic action. These 5 cheetahs have become experts at hunting wildebeest, and we've been lucky enough to follow them at dusk or after dark, just like now, on a number of occasions. And what they're likely to do is start working this herd of wildebeest just like a pack of wolves, running in and amongst them, creating chaos, until finally they can single out a youngster and then make their move. It's incredibly tricky work for us to work out, or at least Manu, who's on camera, to work out which cheetah to film when there is so much action unfolding. So he is going to be darting between all of them to make sure that we do not miss out. There they go already. This is why Manu has to keep switching over. Stay wide. Let's see what happens here. How awesome is this now? What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep following them. We need to get closer. You try to stay as wide and as many as you can. Perfect, just like that, Manu. Good work. Woo-hoo! This is so exciting. We spend many, many hours out with these animals waiting for moments like this to happen. And you guys are in for a treat. I just need to make sure I don't drive us into a hole as we move along. I'll use my headlights sparingly as and when need be. Okay, I think we're in a decent spot here. Hello to Cheryl. You've just sent through your comments saying how much you love watching these 5 boys, and me too. They are quick becoming my favorite African predator to follow. And they are certainly showcasing how epic cheetah can and are, or can be and are. But the fact that we are lucky enough to have just 5 of these guys together, it's rare to have a coalition this large. Hello Betty, you'd like to know why these wildebeest are not panicking, and I guess it's too soon to panic for them. It's not quite dark yet. They can still see a little bit, and they know that fleeing into the unknown is just as dangerous as kind of keeping an eye on your possible threats. So I guess that's the theory that they're employing. The fact that there's nice short open grass means they can keep a good eye on them, so they know where the threat is coming from. And who knows, maybe they've just been a little bit dazed by all the action that is attracted to the migration. The amount of wildebeest that they must see die as they move along this treacherous journey is quite something. And I'm told a lot of you guys are cheering on these cheetah. So am I. I'm not sure when they last fed. We were lucky enough to see them catch and kill a young wildebeest. I think it was 3 days ago. Early one morning, we got incredibly lucky. And since then, I'm not sure if they've had any luck. Judging by their bellies, I don't think they have. So they may not have eaten in quite some time. Maybe I'm wrong. They may have been successful in making kills that have simply been stolen by lion and hyena. So it's not that they wouldn't have been successful. Simply they may just not have had any luck keeping their prey to themselves. How beautiful is that with the clouds out to the east. What an epic evening. Now, I'm surprised they haven't started working the herds as I would have expected them to just yet. But the night is still young. What they usually start doing, just like we saw it kind of do, is they start all running in. Alan, and you'd like to know if they would target out a specific wildebeest. Well, yes, eventually one of them would find a youngster. Possibly 2 or 3 of them could actually get lucky in one hunt. If they all target and find a youngster that's worth following, they will follow each one individually. So once they've kind of singled one out, I guess others may jump on board. But interestingly, these guys have got so much faith in their partners that once they see that 1 or 2 of them are hot on the trail of a wildebeest, the others kind of lag behind, just backing them to do the job for them. So I've been quite surprised by that.
Okay, so obviously no tasty wildebeest in these initial herds, but there's lots more in this area, so let's just keep an eye on what's going on here. You can see a gentle glow of eyes in the distance as... Let me just stop here, we'll get some great shots as they walk past these guys. Listen to this noise, all the wildebeest calling, hooves rolling. There's a bit of a breeze picking up. It was a dead still evening, and that will create further chaos and confusion once full darkness sets in, which I would guess would be in about 10 minutes or so to 15 minutes. It's going to be pitch black, and I think that is what these cheetah are waiting for. They can simply create more of a frenzy, making it easier for them to single one out. Whew. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. We got really lucky finding these guys this afternoon. They move huge distances from where we saw them 3 days ago. Oof, when they start running like that, my heart starts racing. Manu's doing a great job on just keeping on all 5 of them. Like I said, it is important that we know where all of them are, as one may decide to charge forward at any stage. Hello VT, you'd like to know if cheetah can see well at night, or do they smell their prey? Well, in a situation like this, I think it's going to be entirely sight and audio. I mean, you can hear the cacophony of these gnu's all around us. So the combination of sight and hearing mainly, but smell in different situations may definitely assist them trying to locate prey when prey is more sparse. But in these open areas, these cheetah are going to have absolutely no problem seeing who's who after dark. Okay, good. Well, I wonder when they're going to make their move, everyone, as I'm sure a lot of you are wondering. But their body language suggests that they are certainly going to do the necessary business tonight in order to get their next meal. I'm feeling very confident. Even when we met them earlier this afternoon, they were looking quite perky, and having spent the last 2 months following these guys quite closely, it's been very interesting to get to start reading into their body language and their behavior, their state of hunger. And at the moment, everything is looking very favorable for what could be a wonderful after dark hunting experience. I will warn you in advance, if you have yet to join in on one of these, it can be absolute chaos, not knowing where to film and where to drive, but it is certainly awesome. Here they go. Focus now as it begins to get dark. Like I said about 5 minutes ago, it wasn't completely dark, but it's just about getting there now. So don't be fooled by this fancy infrared camera. It is almost pitch black.
Brenda, you'd like to know exactly who they are hoping on singling out tonight, weak or small. I guess either. But their main option at the moment has been the smaller wildebeest that were born earlier this year. So they're about 7 or 8 months old now. They're still quite a handful for these cheetah to bring down. So it's not an easy job for certainly one cheetah to dispatch a young wildebeest. But with all 5 of them working together, they have no problem at all. And they are even capable of catching fully grown wildebeest that are 2 or 3 years old. So they're going to just work out whichever option, I guess, is easiest and presents itself to them. To be honest, we haven't seen them attack any seemingly weak nor injured. It's just been the young, or whichever one was in the wrong place. Oh, another predator. Hyena has cleverly caught wind of these cheetah, and it's probably going to come closer to investigate to make sure they haven't made a kill already. The wind is blowing from left to right, so I think he would have seen them as opposed to smelt them, so he won't be certain if there is a carcass nearby, and he's going to probably circle his way in just to make sure there's no snacks. If we're lucky, we'll see them chase him. Last night we were even lucky enough to see 2 young sister cheetahs chase off a hyena off their impala kill, which was incredibly surprising. I was thinking the 2 young girls would have fled. Let's see what these 5 males think of this hyena. What a magical scene this is. I'm not sure if you guys can hear the gnu's snorting and bellowing all around us. Okay. So it looks like the hyena is kind of disappearing behind our car, but like I said, they do kind of like to slowly circle their way in, as opposed to come in on a straight line. So we'll just keep an eye on the cheetah's body language, and they'll let us know if he or she, that hyena rather, I don't know if it is a male, comes any closer. Now they've probably also thought, let's just slow things down a bit, seeing as though there is a hyena on the scene. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense for them to now take down a wildebeest, so they may give it a few minutes. It will be interesting to see. Maybe they're just having a breather, regrouping before they attack these herds, which are just lingering a couple of 100 meters away, not far off. You can see all of their eyes there. Whew. Well, this is awesome, and it's great to have you guys with us. How incredible that we can be coming to you live from the Masai Mara, taking you hunting with cheetah after dark. I couldn't think of a better way to spend it is a Sunday evening. It's Sunday evening here, at least. I'm not sure what day it is or what time it is in whichever part of the world you may be watching, but it is wonderful to have you with us. And who knows when these cheetah are going to pounce. I don't, but I think it is going to happen at some stage tonight. So that is something to look forward to. Failing that, our plan is to spend the entire night with them, and if they don't decide to do any more hunting tonight, I'm almost guaranteeing you that something will happen tomorrow morning, and we'll be trying our best to stay with them through the night. Hopefully they will be sleepy and won't keep us moving too long, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted on what these guys get up to. They could end up having a snooze here, they could get up in the next 5 minutes, we just don't know. But like I said, we will be certain to notify you guys as soon as any imminent action is ready to share with you. It's been wonderful having you on safari with me and Manu on camera. We will see you all a little bit later.
Well, we have a surprise for all of you, from one spotted cat to another. Seb, high five. There we go. So we have Tingana on the dam wall, and he's taking it very easy at the moment. He's just watching over the back of the dam wall. So thank you to those that did let us know. We were thought that the dam cam was out, so for all of you that did let us know that there was a leopard at the dam, we came to check it out just in case that you were all right, and you were. So thank you very much for letting us know. It's always so nice when you guys do and help us find things. There was also alarm calls from a impala further south of us here, so we were busy checking that out. I don't know if it was from Tingana, but maybe another leopard is also in the general vicinity. So it was a very nice surprise indeed. Wendy, you say classic last-minute leopard, and yes, well, who else could it be? It could only be one last-minute fella, and that is Tingana. And look at him just sprawled out, and he's looking ever so big. Look at the size of his neck and head. He is a monstrous individual, and long tail. It seems as though he hasn't had a meal, though, since we last saw him. Doesn't look like he's full in any way, but he is definitely looking down this drainage as though he can hear something. I wonder if he maybe heard those impalas alarm calling further down towards the south here, because they were calling around central Mamba Mulawati area, which is straight down this riverbed, so maybe that's why he's so intent in looking that direction. But what a way to finish our afternoon. There's nothing better. And see, Seb is just looking down with the infrared to see if there's any sign of anything there that he could potentially be watching. But it really is a great way to finish, and our leopard luck continues. So we didn't have a leopard this morning for the first time since I've been back, but we've had a leopard at least this afternoon. So our leopard fortunes and our trifectas, our cat trifectas, carry on. The cheetah are inside Djuma, so we tried again to go around and check when we left the elephants. I found their tracks. They came into Djuma for sure, and I can't find anything going out. So maybe tomorrow morning those cheetah will still be around. We'll definitely go back and have a look again, but at least we've got our rosette spotted individual. But he looks as though he's a bit sort of tentative. You can see he's watching very carefully. He's not as though he's a very sleepy cat at the moment. So I wonder what he's seeing. I can hear a few sort of noises to the south here. I wonder if there isn't some nyala moving around in these tambuti thickets south of the dam. See how he's using his ears to listen. It makes me think, though, if Tingana is here, Seb and I both heard him last night as well, calling. So I wonder if he hasn't been with Tundi the last 2 days, and that's since we last saw him. Because I had tracks for a female and a male leopard in the Mulawati, and I wonder if the two of them haven't been walking around together a bit, and that's why he's listening. Maybe Tundi is not too far away here. Could it be possible that they potentially are mating again? And I suppose it is very possible, given that the time is marching forward, and we know Tundi is already mated with Tingana. I don't think it was a full-on estrus. I think it was a false estrus that she went into just to ensure safety in this particular section as she's moved in. But maybe she's starting to come into a proper estrus again, and we've seen her leaving Tumba for long periods of time now, and so I wonder if this is what they've been up to. The two of them have not been together. Mr. P, you say he seems to be getting quite old. Well, yes, he's aging. He's almost 12 years old now, so he's getting on the older side. We always talk of him, Vula, as the old boy, but you must remember, Tingana is not exactly young these days either, so he is getting older, but it's just his sheer width of his neck. I mean, he's got no chin, or neck should I say. He's just got one big thick kind of head that goes into shoulders. He almost looks a little bit sausage-like from that angle. I always say he's like a sausage with 4 legs, Tingana. So he's aging, his dewlap's getting bigger, but he's still in fine condition, and he's a big boy. So a lot of people always say Tingana is not that big, but I can assure you I've seen him next to Anderson, and he certainly doesn't disgrace himself. He's not a small individual, and he's got big, powerful shoulders, and he'll certainly put up a massive fight for any male that wants to try and oust him. So there's, I doubt, any chance of a male coming to this area and chasing him away just yet. He's still in perfect condition and health, so I reckon there's still a good couple years in Tingana as we go. His teeth are still in good condition. Like I say, it's going to have to take a really strong young challenger to push out that size male. So, Cindy, Tingana means shy. That's basically what it means. Now, I don't know how we're going to follow him through here. I'm going to try and see if I can get quickly down round onto the other side, because he's dropping down into this drainage, and I just need to let the other guys know that are responding quickly. But his name means shy, effectively. Yeah, Ralph and Tom, he's mobile now south into the Mulawati. I don't know if I'm going to be able to follow him. So if you're coming, you need to make your way quickly. But he's going to do a bit of scent marking down there. I'm going to try and just put on a light for Seb so that you can see him a bit better. We are in the infrared just so we can see a little bit clearer what's going on. And as he drifts away, he's just heading towards that Tamberti thicket, exactly where he was watching. And like I say, for us to be able to head in that direction is going to be very difficult. Are you going to lie down there? No. Unfortunately, where he is going, there really is very little chance to follow. I can try and just stick with him on the bank, but actually getting into where that is a whole nother story. But let's try quickly, Seb. Mr. P, you're wondering if leopards normally die naturally or do they get killed by young challengers? Depends. Some die naturally. If males tend to get themselves into trouble and fight and get some sort of injury, and that often leads to death. Whereas the females a lot of the time die of old age. So case in point is Saleh, she died of old age. There's been a couple others that have also unfortunately succumbed to old age. Let's try and see if we can get here quickly. So remember, we had a 2-track here from when we had a Tumba sighting, so that should take us exactly where Tingana's walking, but from there it's going to be quite difficult to follow. Where did I go down? Oh no, elephants have closed this all off. Let's try through here. We're going to have to drop our antenna, so if there's a bit of picture breakup, I do apologize. Okay. There we go, we are through. I think just keep it down for now, Seb, for 2 seconds while I get down into this area. But he should be somewhere in front of me now. Gotta try and get onto that side somewhere. Oh, there he is. So that worked out just fine. He's now lying down again, which is fantastic news. I just want to quickly radio the other guys. Shame, they've been looking for animals all afternoon. Nobody else has seen anything, and it's one of the landowners, and they don't have trackers and things like that. So I just need to quickly get hold of them and just inform them where they are, which I will do once we stop, and you guys can watch our last-minute leopard Tingana. Are you looking up into the tree? What is there? Is there a carcass here? No, I don't see anything. He's just looking, gazing up into this tree. And I was hoping that there was a carcass, but let me just quickly chat to these guys. Shame, they're trying to get hold of me urgently. Right, so I'm going to get onto the radio. I'm going to try and just quickly let these guys know what's happening and where we are as they make their approach, and see if they can get in here, because obviously we're coming to the end of our show, so at least if we can help them get to this section, then they'll be okay. But he keeps looking up into this tree. I don't see any sign of a carcass. I'll keep looking, and so while I talk to the guys on the radio, let's quickly jump back to Scott with his spotted beauties in the Mara.
Hello everyone, we are just looping ahead of a bit of a marshy area that I didn't want to get stuck in, and we are still following these 5 male cheetah. I'm wondering now what their plans are. They've just walked past a herd of wildebeest. There was definitely lots of opportunities there, and they didn't really work it too insistently. They just kind of watched them go by. But maybe the next herd that they're approaching now is going to provide them with some better opportunities. It's so hard to understand animals. They seem so keen at moments and then kind of turn off the gas. There's also a hyena that's kind of been following them. I'm not sure if it still is, but that may be laying there. All that's right. Slinking in after them. So maybe that's making them be a little bit apprehensive towards hunting right away. That one stopped to face off the hyena. Let's see if we can watch that quickly. Stay on the back one. Okay, so I thought that one at the back was possibly going to chase off a hyena. Maybe we missed it, maybe it already did. So we will keep on moving, and we're going to say goodbye to you guys and send you back over to Tristan, but be sure to follow us on Facebook, because we will be going live after the show if any action unfolds. Bye-bye.
Well, we still got Tingana. You can see he's just slowly striding through. He keeps looking up into the trees, so I thought maybe there was a carcass here somewhere, but it seems as though maybe there isn't. Although he's lying down again here. I think there's a carcass here somewhere. I just can't see it, so I'm going to reposition that we can see him a little bit better. I wonder, Seb, the way he's behaving and the way he's looking, and the fact that he drank water and he's now lying here, tends to suggest that there is some sort of food item somewhere in this vicinity. So I don't know if potentially there is a carcass in one of these trees. Now I've just stalled, so I'm going to try and just get through here. Come on, we don't have much more time. We're going to try and get in so that you can at least see Tingana. I don't see any carcass though, but there he is. He's still just sitting ever so regally up on the back. Oh, we've got a carcass. Excellent. That's great news. Well done, Seb. So we've got a kill, which means Tingana should be here in the morning. That's fantastic. So it's up in the top of the tree. There it is, right in the top there. It's a horrible... Is it a carcass? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll look at it tomorrow morning. We'll come here tomorrow morning. So let's at least enjoy Tingana for our last minute, because unfortunately it's that time of the day where we are going to be having to say goodbye, but at least we have a view of our spotted beauty, and we got a last sort of 10 minutes with him. And it's amazing, if we had come 5 minutes later, we would not have known he was even here, because from where we are, there's no chance that you can see him up from the dam wall at the moment. But it's been an absolutely brilliant day. We've had a fun time. Seb and I were just saying we've had a most chilled Sunday. It's been beautiful with the Ellies, excitement with the cheetah tracks, Tingana, cheetah in the Mara, lions. It's all been happening. We've had just the most epic weekend, and it's just continuing, and our luck really has been good. So hopefully it will continue tomorrow morning. But from myself, Seb, Steph, Scott, and all the others, it's a very goodbye, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Sunrise Safari.